All right, we are live. I am experimenting with some new stuff today, so bear with me, everybody, because I'm going to try to stream now to Facebook in addition to streaming to YouTube. So this is a whole new thing we're doing here. So let me see if I can get all this to work all at the same time. So we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook, and we've got Amazon. And now what I want to do is bring in my, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this. So I should be able to have both YouTube and Facebook comments appearing on the live stream, and they should all be coming in at the same time. So I'm going to go to my page and leave a quick comment and just make sure that works, and then we'll get to work here. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to move this aside. Yeah, so we are, look at that, it's up there. Okay, so I'm going to type a quick post here. I'm just going to say, hi, this is a test, and let's see if vMix picks that up. Yep, there it is. So now I've got Facebook and YouTube integrated. Good stuff. William Wilkinson is here. Brian Parker is here. And thankfully, Brian Parker, I did not have any water in my basement, knock on wood. And it's good because I just got the gutters redone. So I am quite happy with the fact that I have a dry basement. Eric's Variety Channel is here. Sean Flay is here. Eric's Variety Channel says, I always go live when he's driving. Yes, so please be careful. You can listen. I will describe everything as best I can. Dava is here. Frank is here, and Joe Tyson is here. Joe was the first one in today. So that is working. Excellent. And David Langley is here from Wales. Awesome. So so today what I was going to do, the GoPro Hero 9s, this is actually upside down. Let me flip it around here. The GoPro Hero 9s came down in price. So I bought one because I don't have an action camera. I do now because I bought one of these. But I didn't have one, so I bought one, and I bought some accessories to go with it. And one of the accessories, after I finish streaming today, I'm going to go down and test, which is this handle that apparently makes the GoPro float. So if you drop it in the water, it won't sink, which is good because I might use my GoPro around the water a little bit. And I'm just taking a look at my phone here. So check it out. We're doing about 16, 17 megabits per second upstream going to these three services. And my next step now that we've got Facebook integrated, the next thing I want to do is get Twitter and one other, I think maybe LinkedIn. So I'm going to start like multicasting in a whole bunch of places. I have a huge, it's artificial to some degree because Facebook did this thing with me a year or two ago. They did a thing where they would like kind of boost up creators, and they did all this stuff with me, and then they just kind of disappeared. But they built up like a pretty good size following on my Facebook profile. So I said, you know what, I'll just start streaming to Facebook. Why not? So that's what we're doing. So yeah, we're going to get to this in a second. Roger P is here on Amazon. Hello. It's a beautiful Labor Day weekend. So I'm going to go down and hang out with the kids down at the beach in a little bit, because they're down there now, getting one last hurrah of summer in. And then we're going to go from there. So let's go take a look and try to get at this stuff. Roger P wants to know, can you use the GoPro as a webcam? That's a good question. I don't know, but we can find out as we're going through this. So here is the Hero 9. It's wrapped in plastic here. Oh, it comes with a carrying case. That's pretty cool. So we'll get to the accessories in a minute, but let's take a look at what you get in the box here. So this is the Hero 9 Black. I suspect that they are going to, and I bought this, by the way, with my own funds. I suspect that they are about to come out with a new one because the price on this dropped by like $50 everywhere. So I picked it up because I don't have a decent action camera. And sometimes I'm driving around in the car. I want to do some stuff in the car. I want to use some stuff near the water. And I like the fact that the GoPro has a nice field of view, and the video quality on these recent ones is really good. So Roger P's wondering, is it $500? No, it's $349. So they used to be $400 for this model, the black model. So Here's what entices me about this. 20 megapixel stills, 5K at 30, but you can do 4K 60. So that's great. I may even be able to put this up on a drone too, I guess, right? It's waterproof to 33 feet submerged. It's about 10 meters. You got voice control, which I did not know it had. Slow-mo to 8x. It'll do 1080p live streaming, so I'm guessing it must have some RTMP thing in the app. It has raw photo capability. It does have a webcam mode, to answer your question. So it looks like it can be used as a webcam. We'll try that out. And it has a touch screen. So that is it. So let's see what's inside of here. And then we'll kind of go from there. So here is the subscribe to GoPro. Now they want you to get the GoPro app. And you know what I might do is let me get my Android phone just so I have a phone that we can demo with. And that'll free up my iPhone for the other stuff. And where did I put that other phone's upstairs? Let me go grab that other phone real quick. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute, everybody. I'm going to go find, let me see what, yeah, I got that shot. I'm going to go find my phone upstairs, my extra phone. And that's the one we'll use for testing. And yes, my doors are still squeaky. They will always be squeaky. Okay. See, having a squeaky door, as I've mentioned before, is a very good security feature. I just got this new doorbell. You're going to see the review tonight. I bought the Nest battery doorbell, and I think you're going to like it because it doesn't have like a real subscription requirement. So I thought that might be kind of fun. All right. I am back. And Roger P says you can shoot raw video with it too. Whenever I hear raw video, I think of that as being more work. We have another visitor, Yves Hubert Barrow Production is here. Welcome. Let me just get the exposure on the camera here. Maybe we'll replace my overhead camera with one of these, huh? Mark Dell's been hearing a lot about the Hero 10 in the news. Yeah, I suspect that is probably why the price on this one came down. I'm guessing that's probably the case. And what we're going to use today, I've got my Android phone here. This is a Pixel 4 XL. And Google sent this to the channel free of charge a while back. And I use this for a lot of my testing of stuff. And I just figured I would use the Android phone just because it's out here. I'm not sure I'm going to review this actually because this has been out for so long, but maybe I will because what happens too is when the price drops on stuff, I see a big increase in interest for these things. And let's take a look at the GoPro app. So I'm typing GoPro into the App Store, and it's saying GoPro Quick. Is that what the app I need to use? They call it the GoPro app. Let me go to the app here. So GoPro. Yeah, the only app they have is Quick, so I'm guessing video editor, let's see, video editor and slideshow. I'm wondering if they don't make this app available for the phone that I have. I found that sometimes, like these weird compatibility things, like it should work with this, but yeah, the only one they have right now is Quick. But this is a video editor. Video editor and slideshow maker. That's not what I want. So let me find it. See, I was hoping to not have to use the iPhone because the iPhone I need for the Amazon stream. But let's go and look for the GoPro app. How could there not be? Yeah, the same thing here. It's just like Quick. There's no, I don't get it. I think maybe they changed the name to Quick. Could that be it? Well, I'll install that and see what happens. All right, so we'll get there. And yeah, so I think that's probably why they're doing that. MPLSJEFFM, welcome. Your first time attending live. Yeah, I do these at random times, so I pick up different people along the way. And Eric can make comments on Android Auto without having to take his eyes off the road. That is good. Stay safe out there. Mark Dell uses his Hero 8 as a webcam. The quality is great, but I am not a fan of the software. Yeah, I think the quality of these things has improved a lot. Mando Dorico is here. Carpet Looks Slated said I'm eager to try out the stabilization. Says that the Hero 9 is a good model for quick and rough shooting conditions. And I will definitely put it through its test. Yeah, so this is they must have changed it to quick, which was confusing because that's the only GoPro app there is on both platforms. Mark Dell uses the Hero 8 as he rides his scooter. It's like a dash cam. Yeah, they work well for that too. I think there might be like a looping mode on it too. So here is, I'm just eating some chocolate here, sorry. So here is the camera. We'll peel off the little stickers here. And it's waterproof, so you don't need anything else to protect it. You can just throw it right in the water. The original ones, you had to get a separate thing to make it waterproof. And then these fold down, so you can have it sit flat, or you can do it that way. Pretty cool stuff. Mando says that OBS is a decent interface for a camera and stream anyhow. Yeah, I use vMix. And I use a lot of what's called NDI is what I use for most of my videos. But I don't think there's an NDI mode on this camera. I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with one in future editions. And I got to figure out how to get it all this stuff here. Okay, so let's get the camera. We'll get to the rest of it in a minute. And then it's actually pretty nice and compact. And I like that it does 4K 60. That's pretty cool. And then I got a battery here. And I'm not sure what the battery life is on this. It's got a little puller here so you can pull it out. And we'll have to figure out where the battery goes and how to get in there in a second. You got your USB Type-C to USB cable. This looks like it's just USB 2. And I'm guessing this is for webcam mode. We'll take a look at how that works in a minute. This is a little mount that you can snap it into, and it's got a sticky on the bottom of it. And then I guess this goes into here, right? I'm so new to all this GoPro stuff. I'd never actually, I owned like that little tiny camera for a while, but that was it. So I'm guessing this thing kind of slides in, yeah, it goes together like that, and then you got your little screw thing for when you put this in there like that. So this kind of goes through those holes. So when you want to mount it in the clip, you put that like this, you put those in here, and then you run this thing through the middle. And then you've got it on a clip that you can mount it to other things. But I did get some mounting stuff. So we will play with that in a minute. And that's it for this. And actually what's nice is they give you a really nice case to put it in. And you can recycle the interior here, but I think I'm going to leave this in here because the GoPro actually fits in there quite nicely. So I'm going to leave it like that. Greta Thompson is here on Amazon. Hello. Recipe Bob is here. Not much is going on. We're just trying out a little GoPro before I head down to the beach in a little bit. And GoPro Quick looks like that is the app. So they changed the name of the app. So let me zoom in a little bit now that we have less stuff on the desk. So this is what it looks like. And then I got to figure out how to get into the battery compartment on this thing, because I think the battery must go here. I'm just not sure how to open up that compartment. There we go. You gotta pull this there. Okay, so that is like super. So it's got like a really, I almost heard like air come out of it when I opened it up. So what we have here is the battery compartment. I'm not sure how much battery I have on this, so we'll find out. And then it looks like if you want to put it into webcam mode, you're going to have to leave this open because that's where the USB port is. And Alan from Phoenix is here on Amazon. I will need to put my hands on a GoPro too. Yeah, it looks like it's a good, probably the time to get the 9. I'm sure the 10 is coming out soon, but for me the 9 is going to be fine. Sorry, I'm just hydrating. I'm so thirsty today. And Eric uses his GoPro 5 as a dash cam. And William's wondering, do the GoPros use, yes, they use a micro SD card. And what I recommend, well, that will lead me to the next thing that we're going to open up here. What I would recommend for that purpose is one of these. So I bought the SanDisk card here. And the thing for me, first of all, 128 gigs for 22 bucks. Isn't that crazy? So I like the SanDisk cards. And the reason is that they're reliable. And I have been using SanDisk almost primarily. And this is not a sponsored thing. I've been using SanDisk cards since 1998 on my digital cameras. In fact, the very first SanDisk card that I bought still works 20-something years later. And you always hear about flash memory having a finite lifespan, and I'm sure it does, but my original card is still functioning. It doesn't get like heavily written to, but in the early days it did, because I had a Kodak digital camera and it had a 15 megabyte SanDisk card. That was all it had. All right, let's get the, almost cut my Thunderbolt cable with my scissors here getting this out. So we'll just cut open the package here. By the way, the Angry Video Game Nerd just did a whole piece on micro SD cards because they're so tiny. I think they're amazing because they are so small. I can't even get it out of the package. They really don't want this thing getting out, do they? I will probably try not to cut the card in the process here. There we go. Boy, they really don't want these cards coming out of the packaging, do they? There we go. I finally got it out. Okay. Yeah, so I usually go with these SanDisk cards. And, you can pick and choose the capacity. They now have like 1 terabyte cards in this form factor. But I went with this one. And it's hard to see the little letters on here, but do they print it on the packaging here? No, they don't print it on the packaging. So actually they do. Okay, so this one is rated at, let me get at V30. And the most important number, I think, for an SD card is the V number. Some people might say the A number, but I think the V number really is what you want to look for. And the reason the V number is important is that this is the minimum megabyte per second that the card can write. Not megabit, but megabyte. So the card, and usually on the SanDisk cards, they exceed this amount, but the V30 means that you will get a minimum of 30 megabytes per second write performance. And if you're shooting 4K, that makes a big difference. So we'll insert that in here. Oops. So we'll get that card inserted. All right. And I did try to follow the directions on opening, but when I did that, it didn't give me the card. Like, it really had to be cut. It was like sealed shut because this was not coming apart. It was like completely melted. So I had a defective package, which is why I used the scissors. I don't follow directions either, so, so that's that. Okay, so we got that done. And it's got a pretty thick gasket here. Again, this is rated for 30 meters. And why don't we just like power it up real quick and see if it comes on. The battery obviously isn't charged. So let's see if it boots up. There it goes. Wow, we got an image already. And it's booting. Let's see what kind of battery we get on there. So we'll say English. We will agree. To turn on, to tag your footage with location. I'm guessing the GPS probably consumes battery, so I'm going to turn that off for now. Install the GoPro app on your phone to finish. Leave your camera on and follow all instructions. So they are really tying you into this app here, aren't they? And you got a screen in the front too, by the way, front and back. This thing's pretty cool. Like I said, I've not been in the GoPro camp for a while, so this is all kind of new to me. Let me get it into a spot here where it won't reflect too much. So let me go into the phone now, and we will see how this app functions. All right, so we're going to pair my GoPro. So let's get started. I'm guessing it's going to do some kind of Bluetooth communication. And let's see. We found your row. Okay, connect. So we'll connect to the two of them. And I'll say pair and connect. All right, so now it is paired. And I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of firmware update coming down. And you get the image out of both. Now my battery's at 20%, so I'm probably going to have to plug this in. And I think I've got a pretty long USB cable hanging around here somewhere. I do. So we can use this one. All right, so we're going to call this Lon. And I think we're going to call it GoPro 1 because I may end up getting more of these if I like what this one does. Oops. GoPro 1. Yeah, so I am someone who's been doing tech for a long time, but actually have never really had a regular GoPro before, just that little one. Okay. Yeah, there's a potential project that I have in mind that might involve some vlogging. So I think it might work well for that. And a few of the other accessories that we got might work too. All right, so now it wants to do an update, but I've only got 19% on the battery, although I'm assuming that if I didn't have enough on the battery, it would warn me. So let's do this. All right, searching for device, and it's going to connect to the camera's Wi-Fi. And it's got like a leveler, so it knows that because when you change the orientation, you see that? It changed the orientation of the on-screen display. So let's connect. I think this kind of stuff is easier on Android than it is on iOS as far as connecting to Wi-Fi and stuff. All right, so I do have to plug it in. Okay, so let's do that real quick. So we'll just reopen the battery compartment here. It is really tightly sealed, I will give you that. And let's plug in the USB cable. Oops. And the battery stays put even when you open the door, so you can leave the battery in. So now we're charging. And we might leave that in for a while now. So that's cool that you can leave it in and charge at the same time. So let's go back and try this again. And it looks like it needs the battery level irrespective of its plugged in situation. It needs to be at least 20%. So we'll let that, we can get by without it for now. Okay, so let's control our GoPro. Let's install, let's see, it wants me to, I'll do the update later because we need more battery life. Okay. Yeah, I might use this phone as like my little GoPro controller. And you can see it's kind of curved because it does have that super wide angle on it. And by default, it looks like it's at 1080p 60. So let's go into the gear here and see what I can configure. So you can have it run in HEVC, and that should give us a little more recording time. Right now it says at 1080p 60 with 128 gigabyte card on board, I can do 5 hours. Eric's Variety Channel says the charge port is not on the left side. It looks like it's on the right side. And then I'm assuming the left side here, if I can get in there, seems like really, I can't even get into that. What I'm looking for is the HDMI output. I'm assuming there still is one. So I got to figure out how to get into that, which might be answered in the instruction guide here. Let's see. So I really want to see if there's a way I can plug it into my video system. Because I know these things have HDMI outputs, but we do not have any detail in the instructions about that. So I need to research that for a second here. Okay, so I'm just trying to see if there is a setting here for the resolution. And so the preview image it's sending back to the phone, it's pretty low latency. And the quality is not good. It's like heavily compressed, but that's to be expected because it is just, you know, providing that stuff there. And this is the live setup. And I can start recording from this also. And the battery's now, I think, good enough to do that update. So let's update the firmware now and see if it lets us do that. No, it still says it's too low. All right, we'll come back to that. So I'm just trying to figure out how on the app here to change the resolution. And I'm sure there's something I'm missing. Let's try it on the back. Oh, I see. So I can do it on the back here. So we have a 2x mode. And that's the slow motion mode, I'm assuming. So I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to do 4x slow-mo. Oh, wow. So it can do 240 frames per second at 1080. All right, so I got to figure out more about how this works. So let's click on this middle point here. And you have different, so you have super view, which is like super wide angle. I'll tie this into the video system in a minute. So it's like a super wide angle. And they've got linear plus horizontal leveling. And then a very narrow field of view. That's kind of neat. And it looks like this has some image stabilization on it too. Papa Midnight is wondering, can you stream to RTMP? Yes, it looks like it does that through the phone, because there is a setting to go live with it. So if I go over to the phone here and go to live, I can set up one of these destinations. And it could be embedded in the thing itself. I'll have to play around with this a little bit more. Hyper Smooth Boost maximizes video stabilization with tight cropping. And that's good. All right, so that's good to know that's there. All right, so let me go into some other settings here. So you have cinematic. So you have standard activity, which is 2.7K 60 super view. Cinematic is 4K 30, but let's adjust that, see if I can change the, so I could change it to 60. Because that might be where I shoot most of the time with this. So I found on my phone it's nice to shoot 4K 60, even though I don't do a lot of projects in that resolution. It does make a difference. So if I switch into that mode, now we're at the 4K 60. It does feel like it's got a nice stabilizer on. I could see it kind of adjusting the crop of the image as I lift this up. You can see it kind of straightening everything out. I got to really dive into the instructions on this, because there are not any instructions on the inside the box. And of note is that it will record 4 hours and 12 minutes on 128 gigabytes. So that's a lot. Roger Peace is wondering, Backbone company makes a lens that you can use as a DSLR. To use a DSLR lens on a GoPro. That's kind of neat. Must be like a little adapter. And Roger's asking, how can they improve the specs with Hero 10 Black, because the Hero 9 Black is already good? That is a good question. Jamie Barrett says, do they have one in another color? No, I don't think there is another color available on this, because they call it the 9 black. So I think that's the only color they've got. It's definitely getting warm, although if I put it in the water, that'll probably cool it down. So Mark Dell says, I've used it on my Mac Pro and iPhone without issue. The only difference is some extra steps or extra sets on setup for iPhone over Android. And Mondo says, you're above the, yeah, some people have, that's what I mean, like Android kind of just works, right? Apple, you've got to do some adjustments there. Well, it looks pretty good. So maybe I'll record something real quick and then transfer the file over. And what's cool was a little, so you can touch the screen on the front too? No, okay. I just hit the dashboard in the back. So how did I get to this? There's a dashboard up here now, check it out. Max lens mode enabled. Oh, geez. So you pull, let's see, if you pull that down, you get the menu, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of learning on here. There's connections. Preferences. Let's record a little video real quick. So I'm going to hit the record button, and I'm now recording myself saying hello, give you a view of my messy, very messy desk, and so far so good. So let's see how that looks. Now what I should have done, do I have my card reader here? I think I might. I know that my docking station has a card reader, so let me see if, yes, it does have a card reader, okay. So far, so good. So let's see how that looks. All right, so I will say that the touch screen is very touchy, so it's definitely something you want to be careful about. All right, so we're going to pop that card out real quick. And I am going to sneak under my desk for a second and just copy this file off. So let's do that. And then we'll look at some of the other accessories that I got while this thing charges. So hang on, folks. Let me just climb into the desk here. Yes, I've got this docking station. And it's really useful, except it points down where the card reader is. So you got to like get in underneath it there to... Oh, I just put it in the wrong spot. There we go. Oops, there we go. I think we're in. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this file off my computer. And let's see if it picks it up. So I may not have gotten it in there. Hang on a second. And yes, the camera is upside down on my desk right now. Okay, it's not seeing that card. Okay, so let me go grab my card reader from upstairs, and I'll be right back with that. So you can look at the camera here. It's definitely warm, and it's just from the charging, I think, that it's warm right now. But it could be also that it's on. So, and Mark Dell says, oh, I didn't realize this. So he says if you leave the power on too long, it super messes up the battery. Is that just because it screws up the charging, or that you're not working the battery? You know how you really should let your batteries kind of be used. Amazon customer wants to know, does it have a USB-C port? Yes, that's the port here. It is definitely USB-C. And as I go upstairs to get my card reader, what frame rate, resolution, bit rate do I upload to my video? So right now I am doing 1080p 30. My plan is, I'm going to probably upgrade my cameras, and my plan is to start doing 4K 30 in the very near future. And that's going to require a couple of days of getting everything reconfigured in the studio. So, rebalancing all the lights and everything else. So I've been reluctant to do that, but I am probably going to go to 4K 30 next. And the cameras I'm looking at can do 4K 60, so that might be something I consider. It's just that you start dealing with huge file sizes. So the question is whether or not it's worth it. I don't think a bulk of my audience is watching in 4K. So that's part of what's driving it. All right, so I'm going to grab the adapter here. And Roger P says I can do 60. Yeah, I can do 60 on YouTube. But does it gain anything for the added aggravation it might create to my workflow? That's often the question that I ask every time I do anything like this. Here's another question. Do I archive my old footage and video edits? No, I generally don't. What I usually do is I archive the full quality version of what I exported. I know a lot of YouTubers just archive everything, but for me, I'm a little, I don't need as much of my old stuff, and a lot of times I've never been in a situation where I said, oh, I wish I saved that raw footage, because my raw footage is large, because I shoot with vMix, and generally vMix is shooting in a format that's like uncompressed. So to give you an example, tonight's video, let me look at let's see what tonight's video. So the video I'm doing for tonight, the raw footage is about 17 gigabytes. So it's about a gigabyte a minute. So that's a lot for every video that I do, given the number that I do. And I found for most of my videos, it's been fine to just pull a clip out of the finished one. And this is exactly why I do it, because I just like I don't often go back to older stuff, and when I do, the finished version is enough, right? And it seems like it works pretty well. And M. Siddhartha says, my voice sounds so majestic that it never changes from years of progress. Thank you. I'm using the same microphone, that's probably why. But I think I talk slower than I used to. All right, and Chamfley says their video and audio is out of sync. If it is out of sync, I would suggest refreshing, because sometimes the way YouTube distributes these things, it screws it up. So I'm not sure if other people are having a similar issue. If it is out of sync, I can restart the YouTube stream. All right, so the next step here is let's take a look at the footage that we shot. Now I'm going to be streaming this to you at 30. So vMix is going to down convert this to 30, but you can get a sense as to the image quality just out of the gate. So this is what we just shot a minute ago. So I'm just going to move this to my desktop. And let's add the video, and I'll just move it in so you can see what it looks like. Video. Then I've got to do some research as to how to use this thing. There's a lot of like stuff, a lot of dials on this. All like touchscreen dials, of course, so I've got to really dig into it a little bit. Okay. So this is like raw out of the camera. And it looks like, so you see that weird shadowing? That's from my LED lights and the sync, and it's having a sync issue with the LED lights. The quality, though, looks good, but there's a syncing issue there. Okay, so it looks like everybody's out of sync. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's gonna cycle for a second, and it'll be right back. Okay. So hopefully that fixed the syncing problem if you're on YouTube. Let me check Amazon and see if it's got a sync problem there. And sometimes like YouTube just goes out of sync for me. I don't know why it does that, but it does that sometimes. For me, I don't know why it does that, but it does that sometimes. For me, I don't know why it does that. Okay, so it looks like Amazon's okay. So let me know if that fixed it. All right, so it says, let me check. This is the first time I'm going to 3 different places, so I wonder if maybe that has something to do with it. Let me check. This is the first time I'm going to 3 different places, so I wonder if maybe that has something to do with it. So I'm watching this on YouTube right now. It looks fine to me. So my suspicion is that, once again, YouTube has got some issue with how they're distributing the stream. Let me go to my YouTube channel page here. How bad out of sync is it? Some issue. Yeah, it is out of sync. With how they're distributing the stream. Let me go to my YouTube channel page. Yeah, it is out of sync. It's like really out of sync. Let me check Facebook. Has it been doing this the whole time? It's like really out of sync. Huh. Let me check Facebook. Has it been doing this the whole time? It's like really out of sync. So it looks like it's just YouTube. All right, let me stop the YouTube stream again and I'll start it up. I'm going to go a little bit longer this time. All right, let me stop the YouTube stream again and I'll start it up. I'm going to go a little bit longer this time. Okay, so how's this? Okay, so how's this? It's actually getting worse, isn't it? Okay, so how's this? All right, that's better. All right, so do this. Hit refresh. It's actually getting worse, isn't it? Hit refresh, and I think you all should be back in shape. But I think this might be a distribution issue. Yeah, this is another YouTube distribution problem. I'm always the one that bears the brunt of these problems. Okay, so now what I want to do is, let's see if it'll take the firmware update. And it says the battery is still too low. Okay. All right. So it looks like everybody says we're back in sync now. Yeah, it could be, I think it's server related. Maybe they're upset that I'm streaming to multiple places, right? So the next thing I want to try to figure out is, how do we get the HDMI on this? Does it go through the USB, or is it some other function? So let me go and look up the HDMI. So it has an HDMI port, media mod. Oh, do I have to buy something for this? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Media mod. Turn your Hero 9 into a production powerhouse. So I gotta buy something, another $80? Well, that's not cool. Wait a second. Why do I feel like I'm getting ripped off here? Because I really wanted to be able to like wire this into my system here. Let's see, tech specs. So the side, that's the drain microphone. This is not a door hatch. Oh, I see, I tried to open that. It told me do not try to open. So much for that. Status light, touch screen. I'm just looking at the on-screen stuff here. USB-C port is behind the door. So I'm wondering if this replaces the door. So can it do HDMI through the... Oh, so I got to buy like another thing through the USB-C port, maybe? Let's see, media mod for Hero 9 Black. Well, I guess that might give us another thing to do for a review. Because they have this thing called the media mod. Let me show you what it looks like. So let me just add another input here. So how does that connect? It connects to the USB-C. So you know what I wonder? Let's try this real quick. Let me grab my HDMI cable here. Because I have plenty of these adapters. I wonder if it'll just work with the adapter. I should say I had adapters, but as usual, I've never put things away when I'm supposed to. Here it is. Okay, so I've got this adapter here. So let's try this real quick and see if this will do it. and I'm going to add my spark camera here, my spark thing. Okay, so let's take this adapter and see what we get out of it. My guess is they're going to require you to okay, so I've plugged this in, and I am getting nothing out. So I'm guessing they require you to buy the like their own adapter for $80. Yes, I guess it comes with like a microphone and an HDMI port. Here, let me pull this up on screen so you can see what it looks like. Because these always had like an HDMI port on them, but apparently this one does not. Maybe some of you have some thoughts on this in the chat. Ah, Simeon. This is good. That's why I do these things live. So you can only get HDMI out with a media mod. So we probably shouldn't even bother trying. Well, so much for that. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy. Let me show you what it looks like at least, so you can see what you have to get. So we are going to look at getting. And I have a little bit of a gift card balance, so I might use some of that. So this is the media mod. And so it connects via USB-C right there. And it looks like it actually gives you a new button. And I'm not sure where the door goes when you plug this thing in. And you've got cold shoe mounts on it, which is cool. But it's another 80 bucks. So this is the one accessory I did not get, but apparently you need this to get the HDMI on it. And where does the HDMI come out of on it, per se? Per whatever. I don't see it. It must be under that door. Well, that stinks. Well then, we'll just have to order more stuff. So let me put the card back in. And yeah, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go shoot some video with this outside. And then I got to figure out how to get it to work with my studio lights. But this was more of a purchase for outdoor shooting and stuff. Okay, so put that in there like that. All right, so now I got the card back in. So now what I want to do, let's see if it'll update my camera now. Yeah, it's still giving me the low battery level. And I guess you got to open it up to charge it. I'm guessing there must be like GoPro battery chargers out there too, so we'll have to look for those. So let me show you what else I got. I got and I'll pull these up on the screen as I look at them here. I got a Revo 7 suction cup mount. These are all like just your run-of-the-mill third-party accessories, but this I thought would be useful in the car, right? So I could stick it in the car and do like a car vlog. And I guess this thing is going to be critical for that connection because you have to have this thing, and I got to figure out how to get it to interface. So I guess you mount the camera in here and then slide it in somehow. So I got to learn how these things work. Like I said, I have not been a GoPro person. I've never really owned one of these big GoPros before. Partly because I haven't really done much where I needed it, but I'm starting to see areas where I could really use a GoPro in my workflow. So I purchased one. So I'll figure out how this works. But this thing slides into this thing. And then this thing connects when you plop these things down. So I got this for the car and any other vehicles that I might be in. And then, because I figured I might want to do a tripod thing, I got this Manfrotto. And it's funny, the prices on some of these things. So this is 15 bucks, this one here. This is called the X-Adapt. And this is a tripod mount. So what I can do with this is I can slide this, get these things flipped up. You slide this in here. So you got to make sure you don't lose this part. I'm sure you can buy more. And you just kind of screw this in and get everything aligned. So it's a little tricky to get this aligned here. But if I put this in, then I've got a tripod mount. So I could just put it on a tripod like a normal camera. But here you see like the market for this, because rather than just putting a little tripod mount on this, you've got to buy an accessory for 15 bucks, right? So that's that part. And then this thing I'm really kind of excited about, because I will be a little later this afternoon near some water. And so this is called the Handler. And it's a floating grip. It's an actual GoPro branded device, but it's 30 bucks. So I was surprised that they would sell something like this, even though it doesn't do anything other than float, for this price point. So I'm going to give it to my daughter and have her like swim underwater with it. So let's see what we get here. Now what's nice about this is that if you happen to drop this off the side of a boat, it will float. So it's waterproof like the camera, and it will also float. So that's what this is. So that's what we got here. So Mark Dell is wondering, does this only work with the 9? So yes, so the media mount only works with the GoPro 9. Right, so this is for the Hero 9. Actually, it's for this particular model specifically. And so when you install it, let me show you what it looks like. So when you install it, your camera will look like this. So it'll have a little microphone sticking out the side. So it kind of cradles it. So that's what it looks like. Yeah, so $30 for floating, but it's $80 to get your HDMI out of it. And yeah, so I think Crab Donkey here you might be finding, if they're I'll tell you what, I've had, out of 20-something years of SanDisk, I've only had one fail on me. I've had very good luck with my SanDisk stuff over the years. Oh, I see. So this goes in like this, and then you put this back down, I think. I got to learn how to use all these accessories. So Mark Dell is hearing audio repeat. I'm not sure what's going on with this today. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed with the audio thing, or with the HDMI thing, because I certainly would have expected a... So this thing is supposed to pop up like this, or does it doesn't go back down? I guess it doesn't go back down. And you can attach it. Oops. That's the other thing. I'm finding that these little legs, they keep collapsing every time you... And I guess people have been tolerating this design for a while, but I don't know. So Cleeskill is wondering, can it charge while using the HDMI adapter? That is a good question, because they don't show you the ports on it. So I don't know. Let me read the... So it actually gives... Okay, so it actually gives you some interesting stuff. So what it says here is you get a built-in bidirectional mic, weather-resistant construction, 2 cold shoe mounts to attach your lights and stuff. I'm guessing this is not waterproof though. You also get a 3.5mm mic port and an HDMI out port, but it doesn't look like you can plug it in. What's included? Media mod, removable windscreen, vertical mounting buckle, and thumb screw. I'm just reading through the... Yeah, I don't know if you can plug it in while it's got that thing on there. And then how do you get the battery back out? Yeah, there's a lot of complaints about this. So we'll see how this goes. This may not have been a good idea. We'll see. So now I've got this thing on the handle here. And I'll tell you what, like this touch screen, I guess there's a locking control on it. It is super sensitive. I keep like setting it off all the time. Now I'm playing back video here. Let's see. Yeah, I've got to get used to this thing. So yeah, I'm going to look for other stuff because I definitely want to do. So here's, I ended up not reviewing this thing because it was so awful, but I got in one of these underwater drones, and it was terrible. Like you couldn't control it. It was that bad. It was to the point where you're better off going in the water with a GoPro than actually using the underwater drone, because it was what was the name of it? The Revo something or other. Let me get the name of it. So what was happening was it wasn't naturally buoyant, and it didn't use any kind of ballasting to go underwater. So let me find the review that I did of it, or at least the image of it, so I can show you what it is. And so what ended up happening with this thing is that we were using it, we were trying to like have it look at the underside of the boat that I was at last weekend. And you couldn't, it kept like bobbing up and down. Here, this is what it looks like. So it's called the Power Vision. It's the Power Vision. It was really expensive. I ended up not even bothering to review it because it was so awful. And it looks cool, right? It's got a 4K camera on the front, but what happens with it is that, and it's tethered, so that was good. So you couldn't lose it. But what would happen is that because it was naturally buoyant, the only way it could go underwater was by having constant thrust come out of this center thruster. And what I found with it is that even though you could lock it in at a depth, it wasn't stabilizing its depth based on how deep it was, but rather the speed of the thruster. So if the water currents were changing, it would keep bobbing itself back up, and it wouldn't stay stable. So it would do this the whole time. So all you would see on the video is just this flopping up and down. So it's just easier to get a GoPro and get a long stick and put it under the water. That was kind of what we ended up settling on as the solution for inspecting the bottom of the boat, because the drone wasn't happening. It was a real bummer because it looked really cool. Simeon says, was it yes, this was exactly what it was. So yeah, it was not good. And Simeon says, yeah, did I dodge a bullet on that? Yeah, it's just not good. I mean, I was shocked by how bad it was. It was, and you can see they actually put in a lot of expense in designing it. It's real, like the build quality was great. I mean, it just felt like a very mature feeling product. But the expectation they set was that you were going to be experiencing kind of let me charge this thing up. I'm going to take this to the beach in a little bit. The marketing was that you were going to experience this DJI-like experience with the drone, and it just didn't do it. So yeah, so this is the setup we're going to use today. And so my thought is, my daughter loves swimming, so I'm going to give this to my daughter and have her swim with it and see how it does. And let me go back out of here. Now I think what it can do is that if I change, so if you change the orientation, it automatically flips over. Isn't that cool? And I guess it would do a vertical mode too. Now the question would be, does it do it while you're recording? So let's hit the record button again. So I'm going to record here, and then I'm going to flip over. Yeah, so it looks like it locks whatever orientation you're in when you're recording. So let's play that back real quick and see. And then what we can do here, if I can pull this down and go to, yeah, so unfortunately I can't play back through HDMI. Oops, I don't want to do that. Video. Like I said, I'm still getting the hang of this thing, so I gotta figure out how it works. Grid on, grid off. What's that? Quick capture. Power up and start recording by just pressing the shutter button. Okay, wouldn't that make sense? And beeps are off, beeps are on. That's the language setting. Oh, I can speak to it. That's right, it's got voice control. Now, I've been accidentally finding ways to play back the content. And how did I do that? That's this, no, I don't do that. Okay, so the left-right swipe will switch modes. Up from the bottom, plays back. Here we go. So I'm going to record here. Yeah, so it's upside down right there. Yeah, so it looks like it locks whatever orientation you're in. Oh, that's cool. So once you have the orientation locked and you start recording, it remembers the orientation. So that's neat. Yeah, so the only issue I'm having in the studio right now is that it's got a syncing issue with the lights. So I'm going to go back to the app, and I'm going to take a look and see if I can adjust the filter. So it's got an anti-flicker filter, and it's set to 60 hertz, but I'm seeing shadowing from my lights. And it's not like the light shadow, it's out of sync with the lights. So that's an issue for the studio. I've got to have to figure that out. I could switch it to 50 hertz, but that's not going to fix anything. In fact, it's probably going to make it worse. Actually, you know what? I think it looks better. See, that's kind of weird because I'm in the US. It should not look better right now, but it kind of does. Let me flip it around. Oh, no, I'm still seeing it. I can see it right on here. Yeah, so I'm going to have to mess around with that a little bit. And it could just be the shutter speed of the camera. So I'm going to mess around with that a little bit. Because I remember the early GoPros were not very good at stabilizing. This one feels like it's much better at keeping things stable. And I kind of like the fact that you've got, and I don't know what it puts in frame on the front display. The front display is not a touch screen, but I'm guessing it's showing you the center point, so you could kind of put yourself off to the side and kind of talk that way. Here, I'll show you the overhead. So if we're doing like selfie kind of video, it's probably useful. And Cleese says it's probably supposed to go in the handle the other way. You're probably right about that. You are actually right about that because, see, if you ask me to put something in something, I'm going to do it backwards because I am just awful at this kind of spatial stuff. So let's put it in this way. Yes, I'm guessing that rubber piece is, yeah, hitting it there, so that's probably the better spot. And then you can actually get the full screen too, right? So let's get that back together here. Yeah, so I'm going to let this charge up for a little bit. But I keep like hitting the screen as I move it around. Now it says max video. What the heck does that mean? I didn't want that. What is this max stuff? All right, there we go, back to video. Okay. Yeah, you know, it's weird that shadowing doesn't happen until I start recording. And then I start seeing that LED shadow on there. And it's not a shadow, it's just like a syncing issue. So I've got to see if there's some way to adjust that better. And that's irrespective of whether or not we are doing the 50 hertz or the 60 hertz, I'm still seeing it. It was funny when I went to Europe, we had a real issue with the lighting there because my camcorder was set to 50. So, I'm sorry, it was set to 60. So we were seeing a lot of flickering, just the lights there naturally. Yeah, I'm just looking through the settings here. That could be something that gets corrected in that firmware update, so we'll have to play around with that. Scott is here and says, glad to see you. Thank you for stopping by, Scott, on Amazon. You haven't seen any Facebook comments come in, but we haven't been getting that many views out of it, so that could be part of it. So we'll do it to Facebook. I got all this bandwidth, so I'm thinking like I may as well take advantage of it. All right, who else wants to say something? I think I'm getting close to being done here for now. Crab Donkey says, YouTube says I have to set up a channel to comment. I am not sure. You can come over to Amazon and comment there. Crispy wants to know, can this be used for in real life live streaming? Yes, it can, because you can stream from the camera through your phone to Twitch. So you could use it for that. I don't think it can stream directly. I might be wrong about that, because I don't see that as an option here. I have like, video, photo, and time lapse, but I don't see an option to do. Let's see. It's got the right time though. Yes, I'm a little bummed out. I got to buy another part just to get HDMI out of this, but that might be something we do. And I'm also not crazy about the sensitivity of the touch display, because it's constantly getting touched. But it does appear to work pretty well. So I'm going to bring this over to my kids in a little while. All right, so now the question is, does it also do that issue when we shoot 30? My suspicion is you're probably right. It's probably not going to give us the issue at 30p. But my iPhone doesn't have a problem doing 60p with these lights at 4K. Oops. All right, so let's do 30 at 4K. And let's see what we get there. So I just set it to 30. All right, so now we're 4K 30, and I'm going to hit record again. Yep, still see it. There's still like a little bit of that LED. Actually, you know something? Yeah, I think it's still there. You flip it around on me. Yeah, I can still see it. It's like right. And it could just be my overhead lights that are messing with it, not the studio lights, but I can definitely see it. Especially when I'm moving the camera around, you'll see that little bit of a thing there. I'll take a look at the footage when I'm done. So I'm thinking it might be the camera's shutter settings that could be contributing to that. All right, so let's go edit cinematic here. Yeah. And I will say too that yeah, the touch screen, and I guess it's challenging because you have to have this waterproof thing, so it's probably difficult to make this touch screen work. Okay, so that's there. And then the lens, linear plus HL. Okay, so this maybe it's a horizontal leveling. Okay, so linear is a wide field of view without fisheye effect that maintains a level horizon on your footage. That's the linear plus horizontal leveling. I could do just linear. Which is the same field of view. So that's linear plus leveling. Oops. And regular linear is the same thing without leveling. So I don't know if I need leveling, do I? So let's try the, that's wide. We don't want wide. Ah. See what I mean? It's like, it's just not very intuitive on this. Okay, so we're going to set it to linear. Wide field of view without fisheye effect. And then the next one up, let's see what it says for that. Wide is a wide field of view, which I guess has some fisheye. And then super view is like super, super wide. All right, so that's the one I want. So we're going to go linear. This one might work better. Let's see. And I don't see it until I start recording. Yeah, I'm still seeing it. I can see it in the display when I flip it around. And it's just the lighting inside here, so I'll have to mess around with this a little bit. It's probably just my studio lights. Then I could do an overhead shot. It's cool. I mean, you get a nice front view there, you know. Crab Donkey does it do raw video out? I'm going to find out when I get that HDMI adapter. I'm assuming it does. I would hope it does. And Sten is correct. You need to have another device tethered to it, so your phone will need to be with you, so it can't do it self-contained. But I would say, though, and thanks for the follow, by the way, Scott, on Amazon. I will say, though, that I think a smartphone, you know, especially some of these newer ones from like Apple and Google and everything, I think a smartphone is probably the best way to go because you have a nice field of view on that front-facing camera. So I think that one might be a little better. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go let this charge up for a little bit. And I'm going to turn it off here real quick. And I'm going to bring this down to the beach and record some stuff with it. I'm not sure I'm going to review this, actually. I might do, you know, let me play with it for a couple days and figure it out. This thing has been out for so long that if I do a review, it's going to get buried under the gazillion reviews that are already out there. So it may not be all that worthwhile to do something with this, but I'm going to use it, which is why I bought it, was for it to be used. And I think if you're looking for an action camera that, you know, has good image quality, especially outdoors. I've been watching a lot of like the automotive vloggers like Hoobie's Garage and everybody. They're all using these cameras. They're using separate audio to bring it in. And that's one thing that little rig might be useful for, is that it has a 3.5-inch audio adapter, so I could use my existing Sennheiser mics with that. So that might be kind of fun. All right. Well, now I got to figure out how to decouple all these different things. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to end the, let's see, how many things did we get here? So we've had like very few viewers on Facebook. That doesn't surprise me. So we're going to end the live video. I might stream the live video on Facebook to the Facebook group versus the page next time. So we'll try that next time. Okay, so we're going to end Facebook. So let me kill that one. Because that was part of today also, is to experiment with multi-streaming. I'm already streaming to 2 places, but you know, I've got a Twitter account, I have Amazon, you know, I've got YouTube. So my thought was I'm going to do Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Amazon, and LinkedIn, 5 of them. I think that's what I'm going to do in the future. Why not? Because I'm here, I've got the bandwidth, I'm paying all this money for this bandwidth, I may as well use it. So I just have to figure out how to do like a multi-stream kind of thing. So that's how we're going to look at it. Patrick Chang says, yes, and this is exactly to my point. The Hero 9 was released a year ago, so there's definitely a new one coming out. So I bought this because the prices dropped on it, and I wasn't like in desperate need of an action camera up until recently. So I was like, you know what, I'll get this now and see how it works. So yeah, so what I'm probably going to order is that adapter, so that I can see if it might, so we can do the HDMI on it. So that's the next one. So that'll give us something else to stream about. So it's called the Hero 9 Media Adapter, Media Mod. So I'm going to buy one, and I will let you know. This is what it looks like, in case you're wondering. So we'll have another, oops, I already killed the thing. Yes, just look up the Hero 9 Media Mod accessory. So that's the next thing I'm going to get. So I'm going to let this charge up for a little bit, and I'm going to go take it and have the kids play around with it. And like I said, I probably won't do a review just because there's been a million reviews already, but I'm going to review the handle, because I don't think there's a lot of Amazon reviews of the handle. So we'll see how well it floats. And Mark Dell says, live streaming to, yeah, so LinkedIn does have live streaming. I've applied now like 2 or 3 times. They haven't like responded to my request. But I know one of my other friends that streams on here does LinkedIn at the same time. Patrick has a Hero 7, great overhead and behind-the-scenes studio camera. Yeah, they're great for that. And I use my iPhone a lot. Like, I think, honestly, like the iPhone, especially the iPhone Pro, the camera system is awesome because you can shoot 4K 60 out of all three of these lenses. I've got an app called Filmic that lets you shoot out of two lenses at the same time simultaneously at 4K. It's an amazing phone. So I've been really happy with this as like my walking around kind of camera. But I wanted something waterproof, and I found like with the iPhone, when I attach it to the car, it gets bumpy. It's not as smooth as I'd like, and I think the GoPro is better suited for some of those applications. So I'm going to mess around with that a little bit. And Crab says everybody wants to do live. They do. They all want to do live. And so for me, it's what's been fun about doing the live streams. I started doing this when Amazon reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to do it. And what's been fun about doing the live streams is that I'm able to, so for example, in the past, I would have just done this behind the scenes and tried to figure out, you know, the thing on my own. And I do the live streams because I can bring people in and play around with it. So that's part of what's been fun about it. And yeah, YouTube is messing up today. This is a YouTube problem because we have started and stopped. It's gotten better and then it's gotten worse again. So it's Saturday afternoon YouTube tomfoolery. So yeah. All right, well, let me go charge this thing up, and then I'm going to go see what the kids are up to at the beach, and we'll have my daughter taken into the water with her. I don't want to get wet, but we will get the camera into some salty water, and we'll wash it off afterward. That's the plan. All right. Cleeskill, here, I'll answer a couple more questions. Yeah, so here's the one, oh, so Discord I'll stream to. I could do that. So what I'm in the process of doing right now is finding, I need to get so vMix, which is what I use to stream, it does 3 simultaneous streams out. However, to do more than 3, I've got to send it to some other place and then send it out. I'm trying to find some software that can do that in my production facility here, the house, in other words, the basement. So I did put out a request on the Streaming Idiots page, and they've got some recommendations for me. So we're going to have some fun with that, and we'll see how it works. Cleesil says, my Hero 5 just died. Should I get this one? Well, you know what? I bought this because they dropped the price. So this is the lowest price for a new one that I have seen since it came out. So it's about $50 less than it was before. So if you don't feel like you'll be upset when the Hero 10 comes out, by all means. And I don't know how much more they can improve. I mean, this does 4K 60. That's what I want. So I'm happy with that. Crab Donkey wants to know, am I plugged in with Thunderbolt? Oh, yeah, we didn't do the webcam test, did we? This is a USB-C cable, and I've got it plugged into a MacBook power adapter right now. Patrick does mostly recorded video content and not live, and I'm going to start copying a bit of my model and do, yeah, work. I'm telling you, it's fun. And you know what I like about this is that I get a lot of great feedback before I shoot the video. So I can kind of pre-screen what people are most interested in. And Simeon puts his, this is probably not a bad idea, in a waterproof case, even though I have one of the current ones that are internally waterproof. Yeah, I guess the salt water is bad. Like it can, you know, if it touches anything metal, you can start getting into some corrosive issues. So I think, you know, getting it washed off as soon as you get out of the salt water would be really important. And Mark says that the 10 is supposed to have better quality images. All 9 has over the 8 is the front screen. So it might be a big jump in quality. But we'll see. Like I said, I'll take it to the beach and see how it looks. We'll have some golden hour. We're going to have dinner over there, so we'll see how it looks at golden hour. So yeah, so I'm going to let this thing charge up for a little bit more, and then I'm going to go see what the kids are up to at the beach. And I will share with you when I get the media mod how that works with this one. But yeah, saltwater is just awful for saltwater is awful for a lot of things, but electronics especially. So Simeon makes a very good tip here, which I will reiterate, that just wash it off and get that salt water out of it. because any saltwater intrusion, especially with the battery, anything metal. I will say, though, it's got a really pretty strong gasket here, so I think it'll be okay, but any intrusion is going to be bad, for sure. Oh, and here's a good tip from Patrick about the turning off the video stabilization. Even 4K, Patrick, too, huh? So you think it does do 4K out the HDMI, or is that bad? I would like to know more about that. So, well, the fun thing is, from today's experiment, is that I was pushing out about 20 to 30 megabits per second of upstream video, and that is just a slight sliver of my overall internet connection. And by the way, Comcast, I reached out to somebody there, because my friend around the corner, who also has the service that I have, the Gigabit Pro, I don't know if he's on the chat today, but he now got upgraded to 3 gigabits for free. So I reached out to somebody at Comcast, and that's going to be for everybody. So if you have Gigabit Pro, you had 2 gigabits on the SFP connector. They're moving that to 3. So you get an extra gigabit, no extra charge. And now that means I have to re-engineer half my network after that, to take advantage of all of it. So we'll see what happens. Patrick says that the 4K on the Hero 7 was causing some lag. So I will check that out when I get in the media thing. So, all right, so let me order that. And I'm going to go charge up a little bit, and I will be back in a little bit. So thank you all for tuning in today, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.